The old house had never been a cheerful place. Its paint peeled like sunburnt skin, and its foundations groaned with age. No one ventured there anymore, not since the last tenant, a man named Harold, had inexplicably vanished. Whenever the townspeople spoke of Harold, it was in hushed tones. They recalled the strange sounds emanating from the house, the flickering lights, and the odd soft laughter that broke out during the stillness of the night. Maggie was drawn to the house, though. There was something about it that tugged at her curiosity like an invisible thread. Distant relatives of previous owners had left it to a charity, and now it sat empty, waiting for someone brave, or foolish, enough to explore its secrets. "Don't go in there, Maggie," warned her friend Jenna one evening as they walked by the forgotten estate, the moon casting long shadows across the front porch. "People say it's haunted or something." But Maggie shrugged it off. She had always been the adventurous type, driven by an insatiable need to discover the truth behind the myths. So, with her heart racing and a flashlight in her pocket, she decided to slip inside. As she pushed open the creaking door, a plump wave of dust erupted into the air, dancing in the beam of her light. The interior showcased a melancholic beauty, dark wood paneling, a grand staircase shrouded in cobwebs, and pictures that hung crookedly on the walls. Intrigued, she stepped inside, the floorboards groaning beneath her weight. She ventured deeper into the house, peering into rooms filled with forgotten relics, a dusty piano, half-faded photographs, and a rocking chair that looked as if it had recently been abandoned. She couldn't shake the feeling that someone might return at any moment. As she explored, Maggie found something peculiar in the study, a series of journals stacked carelessly on a desk. Curious, she thumbed through the pages. They were filled with frantic handwriting and erratic sketches. The first few entries chronicled ordinary days, but soon became disturbing. Harold lamented his loneliness, the intermittent quietness of the house amplifying the oppressive solitude. He described whispers in the walls and shadows that danced just out of reach. With each page, the tone darkened, voices grew louder, and paranoia seeped into his thoughts. "They are watching me," he had scrawled in hasty letters. "I can feel them. The voices tell me things." Maggie's heart raced, both in excitement and dread. She tried to rationalize it. Perhaps Harold had suffered from mental illness. It was a possibility, but still, the frenzied thoughts seeped into her own mind, wrapping her senses in a tight grip. She closed the journal and glanced around, the house suddenly feeling too small, too alive, as if it were exhaling her inward. Then it happened. A soft voice whispered her name. "Maggie." She whipped around, breath hitching in her throat, but there was no one there. Just the shadows, bending and bowing around her. Perhaps it was the house settling, she convinced herself, just the wind, yet the hairs on her arms prickled with unease. "Maggie," the voice called again, this time a lilting laughter followed, echoing through the very halls she had feared. It was a sound that slid under her skin, that tickled her ears long after it faded. She started to walk toward the sound, completely ensnared by a strange desire to understand, to confront the fear that lured her deeper. The hall stretched endlessly, darker than before, and with each step, the temperature seemed to drop. Closer and closer, she felt a pull as if something were reaching out to her. She glanced back at the journal. It had slipped from her fingers, falling to the floor with a muted thud. She felt dizzy, as if the house were spinning around her, pulling her deep into its heart. Soon, she entered a small room with walls covered in dark drawings, swirling shapes and demonic faces that seemed to move with sentient eyes. In the center stood a mirror, its surface clouded and cracked. A strange, melancholic tune filled the air, weaving around her like silk, telling her stories of agony and despair. She stepped closer, entranced, and as she peered into the mirror, the world melted away. The figure that stared back was not her own, it was Harold, wide-eyed, grinning mutely at the observer, his features twisted as if caught between sanity and madness. "Maggie, join me," he whispered, his voice echoing softly in her mind. The reflection began to reach for her, mouths forming in the darkened glass that spoke her name over and over. Desperation seized Maggie's heart. She stumbled back, gasping for air, but the laughter rose again, filling her senses with malevolence. The shadows began to stretch and twist, wrapping around her like fingers of smoke. With one last burst of strength, Maggie bolted, her footsteps pounding against the wooden floor, her breath catching in her throat. The laughter morphed into screams, a cacophony of madness unspooling around her. She didn't stop until she burst out of the house, gasping under the open sky. But the darkness had followed her. It twisted inside her mind, flickering to life as memories of laughter became shrieks of terror. And in the quiet of the night, when she found herself alone, those voices whispered again, mingling with her own thoughts. Maggie, we will never let you go. The shadows of the house lingered within her, turning into a hidden ache, a creeping madness planted deep in her psyche. The old house may have stood empty, but its legacy lived on, inside her.